Okay, we're back, and we're going to now demonstrate the cassette player itself using one of these tapes. And we're going to go ahead and start with the first tape, like as though we're going to listen to the tape, but we actually aren't, because I'm going to show you some of the functions that this machine can do. Now, as you can hear, when I was trying to rewind the tape, you heard a little bit of a garble noise. Well, when you're rewinding and fast forwarding on this particular cassette machine, it has an audible cue and review feature that allows the person to hear where the tape is at. So before we actually get into the demonstration, let me just review with you the actual buttons that are on here. First we have the stop, which has the red X, and the key is red actually. The rewind key is black, and it has an arrow pointing to the left. The play button is green and is marked by a raised circle. Then the fast forward key is black and has an arrow pointing to the right. And then the eject key is also black, but it has no markings at all. And let me try to get the camera close to it so that you can actually see those symbols. And you can see how they're raised on the keys themselves so that even a blind person can tell what function does what. And those are the 5 buttons on this machine. Now, moving over to where the cassette is housed during playback or in stop mode, as you can see right here, there's a window there. And right over here on this side, you can kind of see it there. It says C1. That's the model number of the cassette machine. Now what I'm going to do is activate the play button, and if you can see it, the tape is actually moving slower than normal. That's because it's on 15/16 inches per second. In order to play these tapes, they have to be moving at this speed. Otherwise,
Side 3,
the sound
the approaching
will be very, very
Foster.
fast.
Continuing on page 89.
So, just to show you what it will sound like on 1 7/8 inches per second speed, I'm going to flip this switch right here to that position, and now.
She said sternly, it means you have nowhere to go, no responsibilities, no place to call home.
Now, as you can hear, the speed is at the standard cassette speed, but these tapes were not recorded at that speed. So therefore, you cannot play these kind of tapes on a standard cassette machine. The other fact is that you heard the gentleman say this is side 3. That's because this is a 4-track cassette. So if you were to try to play one of these cassettes in a standard cassette machine, you would get one track going forwards at this fast speed, and the other track would sound backwards, also at the fast speed. It has nothing to do with the tape itself. The tape is standard. It's the recording that makes the difference. And it's also the way the tape head inside the cassette player is designed. So that gives you a little idea on how these tapes actually are playable and how they actually work in this type of cassette machine. I'm going to slow that down back to the normal speed for this type of tape, which is 15/16, and I'm going to show you the variable speed control. Right now it's pushed all the way to the left, which has no effect on the variance of the speed that this switch is set on right here. So now what I'm going to do is push this over to the right a little bit. Now, as you heard, the fellow's voice slowed down a little bit. And sometimes you may want to do that. Yeah, the voice will sound a little funny, but if you want to listen to the story at a slower pace, that's one way to do it. Now I'm going to gradually increase the speed by moving this control all the way to the right, and you'll hear the variance of the speed change.
The people of the towns centers largely on differences between
long-established customs and new ways of doing things, of living. If you wish to gain the trust of the Mordecai to prove some of the use that you do not say so.
Now, as you can hear, the speed is running basically like at 1 7/8 inches per second. That's because this machine is capable of going from 20% slower than normal up to 150% faster than normal. Now, if I was to switch this speed switch to the 1 7/8 with this control all the way to the right, listen to what happens. As you can hear, it sounds like a chipmunk. So that means that the tape is running way too fast. And that's just because of the fact that this variable speed switch is all the way to the right, and this switch here, the preset switch, is on 1 7/8. So in reality, believe it or not, that tape is now running at 3 3/4 inches per second. And that's actually the speed that's used on high-speed dubbing cassette decks. When you want to dub a tape in half the time, that's actually running at 3 3/4 inches per second. Let me slow that down so it doesn't sound funny. There we go. So that gives you a little demonstration on the function of the cassette machine. Just to give you an idea on the side selector switch real quick. We're listening to side 3 right now, but I want to go to side 1, so I'm going to hit this switch right here.
Why are you all of the group walk in
now we're at the beginning of the book. We're actually at the beginning of the book. So, as I explained before, this tape is on 4 tracks, and the reason for that is to save cassette tape when they're recording these kind of books, because these kind of books are long. They could be almost a 12-hour book, you know, playing time or more, because I've received cassettes where the sides have gone up to like side 9, side 13, even side 17. I can't remember what book it was, but I know I had one at one time from the Library of Congress that had, I think, 20 sides of recorded information from the book itself. So you can tell that was a very, very, very big book that they recorded. So that's pretty much the demonstration of this talking book machine. I do want to show you the jack panel, but we'll do that in the next video, being that we do have some kind of a time limit here on YouTube. So be sure to catch part 3 of this demonstration, and you'll get to see the jack panel.